Welcome to HITEC. Today we are talking to Philippe Osch, the CEO of HITEC. But before we talk to Philippe, let me tell you a little bit about HITEC itself. They do a lot of inspiring work that has practical applicabilities in our day-to-day life. What you're seeing here, there are 4 divisions. This is the first one. What you're seeing here are structures of antenna. These antenna on the ground, they interact with satellites up in the sky. Without those satellites would be completely useless. This is the second division within HITEC. This machine is what created the company in the first place. What this machine does is it evaluates the quality of carbon and silicon, both very critical components. These components typically go into tires, but they also help in R&D. Great machine, and this is what led to HITEC being where it is today. Let's talk about the third division. The third division is traffic management. HITEC monitors the quantity of cars on the road, which enables our governments to plan their cities better. Also in our tunnels, if something goes wrong, if there's an accident, how do we find out about them? HITEC monitors this and gives real-time information, enabling the police, the ambulances to do their job. Which brings us to the fourth division. This is truly life-saving. In the event of something going wrong anywhere in the world, let's say an avalanche, an earthquake, a flood, what's going to happen is your telecommunication systems are going to be impaired. What this box does, you walk into this box, into one of those areas and set it up. It's immediately going to connect to one of SES's satellites up there and get all the comms back up to speed. This box literally saves lives. So these are the 4 things that HITEC does. Let's go now and hear from Philippe. Let's now talk about Philippe Osch. Philippe is the CEO of HITEC, where he drives innovation that puts Luxembourg on the map. Beyond that, Philippe was the president of the INSEAD Alumni Association of Luxembourg, organizing great events for us all these years. This conversation is also quite personal for me because Philippe is a close friend, a mentor, and a source of inspiration for many years. So I'm really looking forward to this conversation. Let's go hear directly from Philippe. Hi, Philippe.
Hello.
Philippe,
Hi.
we're finally here.
Welcome.
Thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us today.
You're welcome.
We've been planning this for a little while, so I'm glad we've managed to get together and now we're having this discussion.
The moment has come.
So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about your journey in HITEC, HITEC's journey itself. You recently took over the reins from Yves Elsen about 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago.
Yeah, June 23.
And Yves left the company after 2 decades at the helm, which marks a significant transition. So I wanted to get a sense for how did you approach this leadership change and what legacy are you trying to continue or redefine?
Well, first, talking about the approach to the leadership change, I think what's important to know is that this was not a sudden happening, and I think that was really key in the entire process. With Yves, we've worked together since over 10 years before I took over as the CEO. So we've got to know each other pretty well in terms of how we're working, what we're valuing, and what would be our vision for the things that we would be doing. And that's also how I moved up at HITEC. I started as management assistant, then was a project manager, and then a CTO, COO. So the way was kind of clear where this would go. And then also clarity in communication, I think, was very important, and I really value that with respect to Yves, because he started saying very clearly at some point, when I'm 65 years old, that's going to be the year I'm not going to be CEO of this company anymore. So I knew that a few years ahead,
It was coming, yeah.
and that was very important for me. So I could really prepare for that, also with the team. That was also not a secret. The team, with the ecosystem, because you have to know that. As an SME in Luxembourg, you have lots of partners, clients, suppliers, and other parties that are co-existing in that ecosystem. So it's important that you're transparent about it, and this is really how it happened. So gradually, long-term planning, but then also transparent communication when that would happen, so that for all the parties it was clear.
I guess it helped that you had time to kind of plan it out. You had the foresight to put things in place. So when you took over, the transition was very smooth, not just for internally, but also for your partners that you work with.
Exactly, and we got a lot of praise for how we did this. Also, it involves me going along to certain meetings more often, and then at some moment starting to communicate a little bit more clearly, and then also once the happening is there, you have to shift your behavior. You have to be ready. On both sides, the outgoing CEO needs to say, okay, I'm not the CEO anymore, and the new CEO needs to say, all right, this is it, I'm here now. And this actually, that worked really well because we knew each other also very well.
Fantastic. Now, at HITEC, obviously you operate in high-tech sectors. You do satellite communications, you do Industry 4.0, mobility solutions. Are there any exciting innovations that you're currently working on, things that you want to share with us that impact Luxembourg or Europe's ecosystem?
Really, in all of these fields that you just mentioned, there are exciting innovations. I feel very lucky to be in a company where we can work on the subjects that are really defining now where the society is going, being it in making sure that we help developing the batteries that will fuel electric mobility, recycling or working towards more recycling tires where our instruments are involved, it being enabling space communications or measuring Earth's behavior from space. Just last year, we've delivered an antenna that is going to be used in measuring the biomass, so the green matter on Earth that can absorb CO2, being in the field of emergency communications, where we directly after earthquakes, floods, intervene and establish communications to make sure that lives can be saved quicker and more lives can be saved, or also redefining the future of mobility. With the work we do on the road infrastructure, we help connecting vehicles to the infrastructure, vehicles to other vehicles, to make roads safer. And really, this is exciting to be working with my colleagues on these fields. There's nothing that I would consider boring in that.
No, that's fantastic. I think more so in today's world, where it feels like the world is transforming at a rapid pace. Innovation seems like the key, and people talk about how in Europe we need to continue our innovative path, make sure that we're accelerating to keep up or exceed the rest of the world. And I feel like what you're doing here at HITEC is very reflective of where we need to go. In the same breath, can I ask you, given that this is also a priority for the government, the government's spoken about how innovation is key at this point. Do you work, how closely do you work with the government to collaborate with them on their innovation initiatives?
Well, we do work with the government, and it really, we're lucky to kind of reflect on a company level some of the priorities of the government. That means that most of the things that we want to do in terms of investment on our side is met with enthusiasm, I would say, on government side, and we are also in a position then to answer to public calls for tenders that the government is emitting, or other governments around Luxembourg are emitting. So this is important because we are kind of in tune. We are not in a business that's shrinking, and there's no business coming out there anymore. But then there's also very concrete help that we get in order to develop the sector, particularly the space sector. We work a lot together with the Luxembourg Space Agency, where through the Space Agency we have either access to European funding or to also national funding. Also in other fields we have access to funding, and simply most of the projects that are launched or the funds that are launched, we have something to bring into. And this is how we work with the government. Principally,
Very good. I'm now going to move the conversation to a little bit of a the personal side of things.
All right.
You grew up in Luxembourg, you went to school here. Can I ask you about what superpowers growing up in Luxembourg imbibed you with? Like a lot of our listeners have kids in Luxembourg who are growing here, they go to school here, they see them speaking all these different languages and making all these connections. I wanted to get a sense for how your experiences growing up in Luxembourg has helped you.
You know what? When I was a small kid, I didn't even really realize that Luxembourg was such a small country. So in that aspect, the first years are always formative when you have your. So I would say that the most important point at that point was really to be able to grow up in a country that gives you safety. Talking in the early 80s, where you grew up in a safe environment, and me for myself, I grew up in the north of the country, so it's a very rural environment, lots of nature, and that's, of course, I enjoyed that a lot. You get a teenager, and then you start noticing that your country is pretty small, and you have to cross borders pretty often. And then again, that was extremely formative, because very early on you learn that your country is not an island, and there's so much more to see, even in early years, and you're led very often to see these kind of things. And then the languages, you mentioned them themselves yourself. That's a huge advantage. You don't realize it until you meet people that just speak one language. Right. Because in Luxembourg, with other Luxembourgers, you would all speak these languages. So that's been very helpful. And when I was studying at university in Switzerland, in the Netherlands, people would never really know where I'm from, because I would be speaking German or I would be speaking Dutch. And when they hear, you're from Luxembourg, then they would say, okay, you're a chameleon. So kind of Luxembourg has given me that ability to shift according to my surrounding, while still staying myself. So that was really important in the formative years, absolutely.
It feels, in the years that I've known you, it feels to me like you know everyone of significance, directly or indirectly, in Luxembourg. And I wonder if that's a consequence of your years here.
Well, first of all, it depends how we would define significant, whether that's true or not. But I mentioned before, I grew up in the north of the country, and I'm not one that has been studying at school with the people that I know now. So I've been, I left Luxembourg early 2000, and I came back 10 years later, and I started basically from scratch, because then I relocated in this part of the country, and I started my professional career in Luxembourg. So I really built my network only then, and I really came to like it. Networking, getting to know people, understanding how you can work together and how you can connect people. So I built that really actually quite late, if you want so, with respect to some others that would have been going to school with the people they are working with today. But I think it's important to be curious, to go and meet people. And I really like also the fact that Luxembourg, you have Luxembourgers, but you have also 50% non-Luxembourgers. And my years outside of Luxembourg have really told me to just meet all kinds of people and to engage with them. And that's something that I really like doing also in Luxembourg, and not only with Luxembourg.
No, that's great. That's very inspirational. Philippe, you got your Global Executive MBA from, is it INSEAD?
Yeah, almost.
So you got your
INSEAD, it's called,
You got your Global Executive MBA from INSEAD in 2018. It's said to be one of the top business schools in the world. Is it really worth the hype?
I guess so. It's really great. I mean, honestly, it has opened the world for me, and we talked earlier about the preparation towards CEOship, and this has been really a milestone, the MBA at INSEAD, because it prepares you in so many ways. When I started the MBA, I thought, okay, I will learn about marketing, I will learn about statistics, I will learn about finance, and so on and so forth. But you learn about business in all its shapes and forms, and that was something that was really eye-opening. Lots of personal development, also confrontations with things that you find difficult, and that in the exercises are still in a safe zone. So it's just an exercise, but you're still confronted with things that you feel difficult. So when you come out of that, I really felt much more ready for taking over CEOship after the MBA. So yeah, absolutely worth it. And then the best business school of the world. You get to meet so many people, and that's a network I still love being with today.
Fantastic. Speaking of the network, you were president of the Luxembourg alumni chapter for the last few years. Could you share with us some highlights or favorite moments from the local community?
The absolute highlight, I think, was our 50th anniversary, and I'm very grateful that I could be the president during that period. And it took a lot of organization, but we gathered over 200 people of our community. We had fantastic keynote speeches. We had memories and past presidents present. That was really when I felt that. We're part of something bigger than oneself, and this is something that has been existing for 50 years, and I feel very confident that we're well on track for the next 50 years. So this is definitely a highlight. But then also it's the small things, all the interactions that you have with members that you haven't really known or seen before, and you have the INSEAD connection, so you know exactly how to speak and how to engage with someone. I really enjoyed that, and presidency is a lot of work, not just for the president but also for the entire committee, and the reward after a great evening is really there. It feels great, and you know that you've brought together people, you've known that you've been doing something meaningful, and the echoes you get are positive. So this is really the moments that I recall beyond the glamorous 50th anniversary that we organized together.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds all magical, right? 50 years, it sounds like a fairy tale. I look at some of the other associations around here, and some of them are just starting out, some of them have had a decade, and I think about 50 years. It's hard to even comprehend that because it was before we were even born.
Yeah, and within the other INSEAD alumni chapters in the other countries, we are one of the oldest.
Yes.
and people were quite impressed when they heard that, hey, Luxembourg, they are celebrating their 50th anniversary.
Indeed.
It's obviously Luxembourg, Fontainebleau is not so far, and Luxembourgers started to go to the MBA relatively quickly. But still, also the fact that they gathered as an alumni association just a few years after the first Luxembourgers started in Fontainebleau is quite remarkable.
No, it's incredible. Very, very cool. I'm very happy to have worked with you on some of these things. Very, very cool.
Very happy you were on board.
I want to talk a little bit about the big picture now for Luxembourg. Do you have a very good viewpoint of how the country is doing? Do you feel like as a country we are well positioned, like we've got the right environment to foster innovation and growth?
I think times are not easy, and as I mentioned before, Luxembourg is not an island, so it's obviously depending on what's happening in Europe. Luxembourg cannot escape from that, but I think in relative terms, we've still a lot of means of investment, and we've done investment in the right technology, data technology, data centers, supercomputers, quantum computers, AI computers, and so on. So I think on that front, infrastructure always being a strong driver of innovation, we're doing pretty well, and we are definitely punching above our weight. On a European scale, of course, we are suffering from the same issues that the European continent is suffering from. So we really need to find a way how to stand out within these constraints that we have. And again, I'm optimistic, I'm positive that with the investments that are being made, we are going to get there. We have also quite a clear vision in terms of country, what we want to do, what we want to bring forward, and a relative political stability. So all these things make me optimistic, but there's a lot of work ahead. Really, we need to pull all in the same direction. Holidays are over, one might say, ready to bring my part to that, within that ecosystem that we have and that we're trying to build here.
Very good. You have a very unique vantage point, Philippe. Like, you work with a lot of Luxembourgish firms, you work with a lot of space firms, you work with Lux Innovation quite a bit. From your vantage point, when you look around the Luxembourgish ecosystem, are there any specific projects, any specific companies that look particularly exciting in the world of space and technology?
There's a lot going on, indeed, as you say. So the space is definitely an ecosystem that has been growing. Still lots of startups, of course, but you have to start somewhere. And there you really see, I meet weekly people that, develop the next drug in space because you can research quicker. People building transport vehicles in space, people trying to make a communication network around moon, so when the moon is being populated, you can communicate with Earth from each and every angle of the moon. It sounds very often like science fiction,
yes.
But there's people with funding working on this. There's people investing in this, and it's all happening in Luxembourg. So that's really really nice at small levels, and many of them are going to fail or pivot to something else. But again, you have to start somewhere, and the fact that these people are also in the same place, I feel really something is growing there. In the space field, and then data, of course, another very important point. Lots of companies working on digital platforms, also related to finance. These things are happening, and there are clusters existing. Now we need to be able to scale very quickly, and here we come a little bit again towards this European difficulties of capital available quickly for scale-ups and so on and so forth. I think Luxembourg is also having similar issues, but also again actors that have very well identified that this is going to be crucial to go forward and addressing it.
I guess that's the first step, right? First, identifying that you have a problem and then working on solutions to implement it and then scale up from there.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Very good, Philippe. This brings us now to our fun segment, our rapid fire segment. I'm going to present you with some options.
along.
Exactly. I'm going to present you with some options and you can pick one. There's no right or wrong answer. Just pick whatever feels right at the spur of the moment.
All right.
All right. So at INSEAD, you are one of those rare people who've done 2 courses. So I'm going to ask you, IDP, the International Directors Program, versus the GEMBA, the Executive MBA.
The killer question right away. Still GEMBA. Yeah, it's a longer program. It's been deeper, and the IDP fantastically built on it. But you are not giving me the choice, so it's GEMBA.
Very good. Now in Luxembourg, we spoke about how we have growth aspirations. The world's advancing, and we want to keep up. So towards like a magic pill towards achieving all these objectives. Tech innovation versus policy reform.
Tech innovation, that's an easy one.
Very good. Luxembourg's growth aspirations hero. Who's going to come and help us achieve our goals? The space sector or the financial sector?
That's a tough one again. Well, I think we should all realize that the financial sector is really at the source of our exceptional situation that we have still right now. Is it going to bring us to the next level? I think that's going to be not only space, but among other also the space sector. I would be at the wrong place not believing into that. And since your question was regarding growth, I'll answer space.
Very good. The next one is going to be a slightly tougher one. You need to give up something. Would you rather give up the use of your left hand for a month or coffee for a year?
Well, as you know, I broke my wrist last year and I gave up the use of my left hand for more than a month. So I've done that. I survived. And I need coffee. So it's going to be the left hand.
All right, fair enough. You've been there, you've done that. You've never survived with coffee for a year.
Exactly.
So. All right.
Confident that this is okay.
All right. An INSEAD event-related question. Do you prefer speaker events or P6 networking cocktails?
At speaker events, you get both. So speaker events, you get the great speaker and the great conversation right after the speech.
Okay, fantastic. This brings us to our final question for the discussion, Philippe. This is the advice section. There's something that I've noticed about HITEC that really stands out. I've noticed that 60% of HITEC sales are generated abroad. And I think in that, HITEC is positioned quite uniquely, and it's a source of inspiration for many other Luxembourgish firms. So what advice would you give to other firms that are aspiring for this international success, that success factors that you've done that other firms can emulate?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, I think the international aspect for HITEC was from the onset. So it was kind of embedded in the business model. It was embedded in the fields that we try to push even in the very early years. So first advice would be look at your business model. Is it an internationally oriented business model, or is it something that works very well because of local circumstances? In that case, you would have to shift your business model. And then it's also a lot of around mindset. You know, you could say this is tough, the world is so big out there and we have to travel very far. We rub ourselves against very big companies sometimes when we do international business, and that's okay. And that's the mindset thing. You need to say, okay, we have something special, we can bring something to that market. Really also think about what differentiates me in that market where I'm looking at, and then it doesn't really matter from where you are or how big you are, if you have a differentiating product or service, and you have to there look at the competition internationally, and that's rude because that's rough. The international competition is really there, and sometimes they tell you, look, your product is not that good, and then you have to go back to the drawing board and say, okay, if I want to compete in these markets, I need to change this and this and this and that, rather than saying, okay, well then I don't go there. And again, so it's a mindset point of view, but then also really pushing through, being perseverant, and making sure that that you're okay with international competition and the lessons that you're learning from. And then last but not least, I think what's often being said in Luxembourg, and it's still true, it's languages. So we are lucky at HITEC that we have a diverse workforce in terms of nationalities, and also quite a big share of Luxembourgers, a third, which is above average in Luxembourg private business, which means that we have a lot of languages that we can operate in. And I'm able to kind of put people on projects according to that. So with our German clients, we would have a German-speaking team if possible, or as much as possible, I should say. French-speaking clients, we would try to be as much as possible in French, and then of course English. And some other languages can end up to that, but these are the main languages, and from Luxembourg this is quite easy to do. So really, one advice also would be to use that and try to build rapport in these languages.
Okay, so basically, if I were to sum that up in a nutshell, I'd say be resilient as you try to break through to a new market, adapt, constantly innovate, and leverage your strengths such as the language facilities you have.
Yeah, that's a good summary.
Yeah, fantastic.
Absolutely.
Well, Philippe, this has been an absolute delight.
It was my pleasure.
You've been a close friend, you've been a mentor, and you've been a source of inspiration for me over the years. I'm really glad we got to have this conversation. I really appreciate you giving your time to the podcast and discussing so many things about your life and about the way you run HITEC.
Most welcome, Prash, and I should return the thanks because you've been helping a lot, bringing activities along, and helping me also to bring me where I am now. So thanks for that.